So if a sannyasi does all mantras for 6 or 7 hours, does that remove ignorance?
It wasn't all mantras, so he did all his breathing too, didn't he?
Oh, the breathing, yeah, that's another story.
Oh, that's another story. Oh, yeah, if he do all mantras for 6 or 7 hours, you'll remove all ignorance.
Yep.
Is that right?
Is it true?
Among others.
What's wrong with that idea?
That's the question.
Huh?
You're already free.
It's too long.
Yeah, that's right. What's that? It's too long?
Too long.
You only need 5 hours.
If 100 Om mantra or 1,000 Om mantras remove ignorance, then 1 Om mantra will remove ignorance. So you only have to think one. Hey, what does Shankara say in Atma Bodh? Does anybody read know Atma Bodh? Knowledge, action won't remove ignorance. Huh? Because ignorance and action are not in conflict. Actions you do are motivated by ignorance, so the more actions you do, the more ignorant you are. That's all. Third part mantra, that's what it says. Because any action done by the doer of the action, the doer of the action, is that limited or is that a limitless or a limited entity that's doing? Limited. Can a limited entity do an action that would produce a limitless result?
No.
Then, action's not solving the problem. Action will remove the effects of ignorance, it says. What are the effects of ignorance? That's beliefs and opinions and so forth and so on. That's accumulated garbage. With action, you could remove your garbage, your mental garbage. But you can't remove ignorance. That's why we say you need to do sadhana. The sadhana is not going to remove the ignorance. The sadhana is going to remove the effects of ignorance that are preventing you from gaining knowledge. It's just amazing, these beliefs that persist for thousands of years, that don't even meet the criterion of common sense. Huh? That's why we say Maya. Often some people translate Maya as imagination. People think that what they think, because they think it's the truth. It's just fantasy, huh? So anything can be true for anybody. That's called pratibhasika satyam. Oh, that's another story.
But it's helpful to,
Huh?
I suppose it's helpful to remove the effects of karma.
Yeah, sure. It's
Or
not only helpful, it's necessary to remove the effects, but don't think action's going to take away the ignorance. This is the problem with sadhana. You have to keep doing sadhana. Yeah, sadhana makes you feel good, and there's no reason why you shouldn't keep doing sadhana, but don't think, because what's the basic ignorance that doesn't get removed when you're doing sadhana? On the doer. That's the moksha is what? The negation of the doer, the removal of the doer. So the more the doer does, and the more beneficial results the doer gets, the more the doer gets, the stronger the belief that I'm the doer becomes, because his actions are making him happier. But to keep the happiness going, he has to keep doing. This is why you get these people doing sadhana, because the sadhana makes them happy. That's all. There's nothing wrong with it. It's good. But you have to keep doing to keep the happiness going. And you ask the people to stop doing those sadhanas, and they won't stop doing those sadhanas. Why? Because they're afraid of the unhappiness that comes. So they're afraid they'll go back to where they were, which they will. Because the only thing that's making the happiness is the actions. And those actions eventually wear out, and they have to seek new actions. It's called the homeostatic effect. on homeostasis. You only get so much benefit, or a law of diminishing utility. So I think that's another word, for another statement for it. Anyway, I'm getting excited now. I'm getting angry. Some ignorance! I killed ignorance!
But you need a sattvic kind of state of mind to be able to study the Vedas and get the right understanding. Right?
Yeah.
So without the sadhana, if my mind is totally rajasic, I cannot sit and read.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's the point.
That's the point.
It's a tricky business.
It is a tricky business. Yeah, it is a tricky business. But not that tricky. It's not really that tricky. Just don't expect an action to make it. You shouldn't. Everybody knows that anyway.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I mean, doesn't everybody know that an action that you do is not going to give you lasting happiness? Huh?
Yeah.
You know very well that an action you do may give you temporary happiness, isn't it? Yeah, you do a lot of. I won't tell you what I ate, but I went out for a nice lunch.
Everybody knows.
Everybody knows. And I was temporarily happy. I was still a little happy. Okay, I'm still a little happy. But by the time this class is over, I'll have to be happy from the class, because the happiness that came from the X food, say it again, that happiness will have been gone, won't it? And then I'll have to go back at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock to get back the food happiness again. And by the time the food happiness wears off, I'll do the Vedanta teaching, and then I'll get the Vedanta happiness. Till, 8? Is that when we finish? No, 9 till 9. So I'll only get my Vedanta happiness will only keep going till 9, and then I'll have to figure out some other way to get happy for the next, till I go to bed. Well, I could go to bed and I get sleep happiness. Anything I do, and in the meantime, I might get some unhappiness too, because I don't know if the action I'm going to do is going to actually produce a lot of beneficial result. Maybe if I go eat one more of those things, I'll get a stomach ache, and then I'll get unhappiness. So action's not going to give you lasting happiness. It'll give you a temporary good feeling, and it's nice to have. It's nice to have a lifestyle that produces sattva. Definitely, you should have a sattvic lifestyle if you want to understand these teachings. That's all. That's all. Anyway. Okay, Sarashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavadhyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadguru Pranatosmyaham Om. So, what is this non-dual bhakti? What is it? What's it like? What is it? It is. I'll just repeat those first few verses, and then we're on verse number 7. The 7 is a very important verse. They're all important verses, obviously, but I like 7 very much. It's supreme love of yourself. And what is the benefit? the immortality benefit. You realize that you're immortal. And what's the benefit of knowing you're immortal? All your worries stop. Because all your worries are based upon the fact that I'm insecure, that I'm not a secure being, that I'm subject to change. And you discover you're not subject to change anymore. And that you're happy, that you are your happiness, that happiness is you and you are your happiness. So, and since yourself is always present and was never born and is happiness itself, you stop worrying about stuff. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? You want to live a long time? You want to live a real healthy, happy, long life with virtually pain-free life? Understand that you're immortal. Because what's killing most of us is worry. Bad habits born of worry. When you worry, you generate all kinds of toxic energies in your body. Subtle and gross energies. Chemicals even in the body. Worry produces certain kinds of chemicals. The chemicals are produced by the mind. Everything comes from Ishvara. When you worry and think bad, negative thoughts, all that stuff accumulates in your body and in your mind. When you're not worried, then Ishvara, then you're the natural person. You're like the original first person that God created. You're absolutely normal, you're absolutely natural. And people like that, they allow Ishvara to balance their energies. And the Shakti, the pure Shakti, equilibrates and manages all the energies in all the systems. So things feel really, really good all the time. So I've been doing, practicing yoga, and I've been a jnani since I was 29. And that's what, almost 50 years, 49 years. And I don't have pain. Just don't have it. Once in a while, a little ache comes from doing a repetitive. When I do that, about the most pain I get is when I haven't taught for like a month, and I keep going like this every day, pointing the chart. Then at night when I wake up, I got a little soreness in my neck, and that's about it. So you don't worry because you're relaxed. That's the point. This worry is stress, is tension, and there's no tension in these people. That they call it's like if you look at the picture. My spiritual name is Ram, and Ram is a deity in India, famous deity. He's a Vaishnava deity. Two main sects in India, the Shaivites and the Vaishnavites. And Ram and Krishna are Vaishnavite deities. They're incarnations of Vishnu. And Ram is a warrior like Krishna. He was a Kshatriya, a warrior. And he was a Dharma king. He came to establish Dharma. He killed Ravana, and he solved a whole bunch of problems, just like Krishna did. And if you look at the deities, the pictures of Ram, there's always Ram and Sita. That means what? Spirit and matter, consciousness and Maya. Sita is always Maya. The woman is always Maya, and the man is always the self. And when they put them together, you have what? A complete being. Because every created object is made of two things, consciousness and matter. Chapter 7, Gita, discusses, and Upanishad explains how every created object is both. Now, with Ram, he's a warrior, but when he's a deity, he has a bow, But you know what's interesting about the bow that he has? It has no string on it.
No tension.
No tension. That's the meaning. You wouldn't pick it up if you didn't know this teaching. If the bow's got a string, it's always tense. It can shoot an arrow. It can cause problems, can't it? It can destroy things. But if there's no string, how's he going to shoot? So that means enlightened people, they don't have any tension. Well, if you don't have any tension, then everything works automatically, because Ishvara didn't set up the body and the mind to be a problem. In Ishvara's mind, in the pure sattva, when Ishvara designed the human program, he made the program perfect. He didn't account for ignorance. So when ignorance comes, then the program is affected, and the jivas become tense. They're worried about survival. You know how people are always talking about surviving? Now, you look at a person and say, what are you doing? Why are you working so hard? I've got to survive. That's what they say, isn't it? I have to survive. But excuse me, you are surviving. Or if you weren't surviving, you couldn't work. No, I'm working to survive. No, you aren't working to survive because you're already surviving. If you weren't, if you only, well, anyway, you know what I mean. So that instinct, that tension that you have to do something to what? To be, to survive, to live, to be, is produced by ignorance. You don't have to. Ishvara's got your back. You're a perfect program. So once you let go of that, virtually nothing ever happens in the program, unless there's some effects from previous lives or some macrocosmic thing that causes some suffering or some pain. But so this immortality benefit, that's, what more can you ask for? When I was 28, I thought I understood that. Boy, if I can crack the code here, I'm going to have my whole rest of my life is going to be fabulous, and it's been absolutely fabulous. I've had the most fabulous life. I just could not imagine a better life than I've had. In fact, I'm pinching myself like, is it really this good? Is Israel really this merciful, this kind, this loving, this compassionate, that a sinner like me, Ishvara makes such an amazing life? Look at, I get to meet you beautiful people. All you people are so beautiful. I love you, I just love you. And that's amazing. Even if you don't like me, I love you. You understand? Ishvara, it's a beautiful world. It's so beautiful. Understand? So once you know that, nothing goes wrong. Every single thing is perfect. It's just the perfection benefit. He says perfect. Then he says, one who obtains it, what? Becomes perfect. That's the next verse. Immortal, and this repeats immortal, and fully satisfied. And then he says, one who attains it becomes completely desireless. Oh, nice, huh? Number 5. Verse 5. Verse 5. One who attains it becomes completely desireless.
You finished already 6?
Huh? Yeah, well, I'm just reading them.
Okay.
I'm catching up. It's a way you learn. You repeat. You hear it, and then you back up and you repeat, and then you back up and repeat. This is part of the practice. Oh, that's so boring, Ramji. You said that earlier. Let's give me something new. I want some new teachings. There's no new teachings. It's the same teaching every time. Every book, every class is the same teaching. Understand? If you got a new teaching, it can't be a real teaching, can it? How can it? All these guys come along, and in every generation you got some guys come along. Andrew Cohen, he was one of them. Now there's other guys out there doing it, And they say, oh, those old musty Indian sages, they wrote the Vedas, but what kind of bunch of homeless hippies living on the Ganges banks without any food and naked guys with beards and don't even shave, well, what could they know about modern life? We're really much more advanced than those guys. We're so sophisticated. We need a new spirituality for the modern age. And I'm going to supply the modern age with the spiritual ideas that it needs. Look, we're just apes. You just don't have your tail, that's all. In fact, actually, there is the end of the spine, sometimes there's a little tail there. That shows that years ago, you're still an ape. You're still hanging by your tail in the trees. So what worked for the apes thousands of years ago is going to work for you right now. Understand? There's nothing new. This is a perfect teaching. That's why it stays the same. It does the job. We don't need, There's guys. Is there anybody out there trying to improve on the wheel? No, they might be trying to make better tires for their cars. But is anybody changed the design, the wheel? Is anybody doing that? Oh, going around, it's too little too perfect. I don't think that's right. I think we should make a little bump in it. So that every time you go around, you feel a little bump, and then you remember how perfect the wheel is. Huh? Is that? What's wrong with these people? Huh? What's wrong with them? Aren't they satisfied? No, you have to just, you hear this, and you hear it, and you hear it, and you hear it. And then it starts to make sense. Some a really cool guy in Amsterdam last week, he said, and I know it's true, he spends at least 3 hours every day on the scripture and on the videos and the books, at least 3 hours. And he's been coming for about, he's a Jamaican guy, really cool guy. And he's been coming about 4 years, I think. And he came up to me and he said, I don't know. He said, I don't know what kept me going. Because I was really been confused for a long, long time. He said, in the last 6 months or so, he said, everything's starting to click, 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 click. Everything's starting to feed in and fix. And they, the hell is that? Everything's starting to make sense. He was so happy. He was just so happy. He gave me a beautiful book and a big envelope full of money. And I know he doesn't have much money, but I'm sure certainly all that he had extra. But because he just persevered. He just kept at it. There was something in him that told him there was something there to understand. And he'd get little glimpses here and there, but now he said, and I said, well, that's right, that's about right, because this is a common thing. People say anywhere from 3 to 5 years. I've never met the people, most of them. But regularly I get emails from them and say, you don't know me. We never met in person. I never attended any one of your seminars, but I've been reading your books and doing sadhana and this and that and the other thing, and contemplating, and now everything's crystal clear. And thank you very much. But it's all, because what? It's just, you just keep at it. There's no new ideas here. It's the assimilation of these ideas, and then the application of these ideas. And that, that's why Vedanta is not popular. It's you got these guys that, that get you high in a satsang, and you have 5,000 people together in a big stadium or whatever it is, and you're sure. You chat a few mantras and you give them some nice ideas, a little inspiration. Everybody's going to get high. Of course they're going to feel good. There's nothing wrong with that. But how long is that going to last? And the next time you go back, it costs a little more, and there's a new teaching. Have you ever noticed that with these guys? They all keep coming up with new teachings. Because the teaching they gave them before doesn't work very long. It has the homeostatic effect. So they dig up a new teaching, they charge a little more. And they make you feel that because you're paying a little more, you're getting a better teaching. But it's just a different thing, just a different iteration of the same thing. And then you do that for a while, and then you get high for a while, and you think that's it, until the effect wears off. And then they come up with a new teaching. Or they make it like Scientology, a clearing. You can spend... I think to get to the highest level, which is what? Thetans? No, what are they? No. What?
The zero, the Thetans.
The Thetans. It costs generally about $800,000 to get to the Thetan level.
It's special.
It's guaranteed.
Huh?
It's a guarantee.
Guaranteed, yeah. And if it doesn't work, do they give you your money back? No, they don't. So, no, there's nothing new here. Excuse me. Okay. Good. Then he says, and then the verse we just did before the break, what is when non-dual devotion is attained, one is wonderstruck, immersed in silence, and intoxicated with the self. In other words, you shut up, you don't claim who you are, and you're absolutely in awe. Why? Because you all along, your whole life has been wondering what you're doing here on the earth, and now you realize why you came here. And you know what? There's nothing more to do. It's like, then you're on permanent vacation. Huh? I did a human being. I did that. I was a human being, and I did it 100%. And now I don't have to be a human being anymore. Oh, thank God. I don't have to do any more work. Thank God. And you're so grateful. You just can't imagine how wonderful you feel. He says that. And then the next verse, that's number 8. Let me see what page I got, 34. In the book. They got this book in German. I didn't bring mine because I didn't want to get you guys to buy my book because we're trying to sell German's book. Make Yoga Vidya happy so they invite us back again. Now listen to this one. This is another sign. This is another benefit of assimilated self-knowledge. Assimilated self-knowledge. What is it? Renunciation, huh? Oh, here it is. Number 7. It does not generate desires. Why not? What? Huh?
Because that's what it's better for.
Yeah, because you're satisfied. You only generate desires when you're dissatisfied. But if you're satisfied, you don't generate desires. Do you ever go to Thailand in the winter and see all those Westerners all laying flat on their backs in the sand? Huh? With their bodies all red? And they're just laying there like that, not moving a muscle? Huh? And the little Thai ladies walking around with coconuts and little fans and stuff, you know. Why aren't they moving? Why aren't they doing anything? Because they're totally satisfied. That's why they're not moving. They're laying like flat on their backs in the sun, and they're very happy. They're not moving. So that's the idea. And what does it do? This is a positive benefit now. It's not only are you not doing, but the positive benefit is, and he says, which is followed up by the definition of the word. It said, and I know this is a dirty word. This is a naughty word. Not supposed to say that word anymore. Not anymore in these societies. No way. So this is, I'm just, don't tell anybody I told you. It inclines one to renunciation. And what does verse say renunciation is? Renunciation is the consecration of worldly and spiritual duties to the Lord. In other words, it's turning over everything to Ishvara. I can let that go. Ishvara, you can have it. You take care of that. You're the boss. You created, sustaining, and destroying it anyway. I know who I am. Why should I do anything? You take care of all that shit. That's your job. It's like a baby. You're like a baby. Just jump up in Ishvara's arms and suck on your mom's tit. Everything's done for you. That's Ishvara. Ishvara's a big mom, a big pop. Cradles you in the arms, covers you up, carries you, goes, talks sweet to you. Everybody talks sweet to you. Huh? You're a renunciate, a sannyasi, a renunciate. And it's a spirit. Huh? It's a spirit. People are forever trying to get me to close the doors and lock the stuff. Somebody wants me to worried that somebody's going to steal the videos. You left the donation box there, James. You left the donation box. There was money in the donation box. Somebody might steal it. Well, if somebody steals it, Ishvara is stealing it for somebody who needs the money, I guess. Right? Huh? You're looking at me like I'm kind of crazy. Huh? You look like, is there something wrong with this boy? Yeah, there's something wrong with me. I'm a madman. I actually don't give a shit. Understand? I don't care. Lock you. My wife is South African. Now, in South Africa, you don't just walk out of your door and go for a walk. You don't do that. It's just, it's dangerous. So there, everybody's scared all the time. But they're so scared, and they've got all these things in place. Being scared is being normal. That's normal for them. Now, when she marries me, she comes to America, and I live in a countryside. I don't even lock my car at night. I usually leave the keys in my car. I leave it in the driveway. And very often, because I'm getting old, I forget to close the garage door, so all my tools and stuff is there. And I don't lock the doors to the house or close the windows, because I want the fresh air. I go to sleep, and I'm fine. And, my God, First night, I wake up the first morning, she's been there, everything's locked up. I'm like, garage door's down, the keys are out, the car's locked, all the doors, all the windows are locked. Everything. And there's only like squirrels, and fish, and eagles and stuff. And I get scolded. Don't you know somebody, anyway, even if they come in, what are they going to do, steal my Krishna statue? You can't fence a Krishna statue in the local pawn shop. You won't get a dime for it. We got nothing. It's valuable to us, of course, but it's nobody else is going to take it. And if they take it, well, maybe they need to pray to Krishna. So you can have my Krishna statue too, Leave it, it's consecration. Let it go, for God's sake. Stop worrying about it. That's the feeling. And wouldn't it be nice to to be free that way? Because fear is such a heavy thought. You think being fat and carrying an extra 50 pounds is heavy. Carrying one fear thought in your mind is really, really, really heavy. And you keep carrying that thought with you day in and day out, year after year, and it just drags you down spiritually. It's like having the brakes on your car and trying to drive your car. It's like have you ever done that with your car? The car has an emergency brake, and maybe you drove in at night and you put it on, but you didn't put it on very much. You're in a hurry to get to bed or something, so you just pulled the emergency brake on. And then you didn't put
smell.
Huh?
The burning smell.
No, you didn't put it on that much. You didn't put it on that much. At least maybe it would burn after a while. But so then you start up in the morning and you look at it and it looks like it's off, but it's actually on. And you start driving your car down the road, and your car doesn't feel like there's something quite wrong with it, but you can't figure it out because there's a kind of resistance, And you think, what's wrong with this car? I have to take it into the mechanic. And then maybe what's wrong? Now they have a little beeper that warns you and shows you a picture. But in the old days, it didn't. And then I removed the emergency brake, and the thing took off. After I had my open heart surgery, they told me, you need to take, and I didn't think about it much. They cut me open and they put 5 new tubes to my heart. And they take veins from part of the body, usually around your knee or something. Evidently those veins don't impact. So they're fresh, even in an old person. So they cut them out, and then they glue them in here, and they sew you back up. And then they tell you, you should take these pills, whatever they are. They're statins. There were statins in their blood thinners and all that sort of stuff. You should take those, they say. So they give you the pills. I don't think anything about it. I just take my pills. So the doctor says what the doctor says. I take pills. After a while, after a few weeks, I noticed that everything I'm doing is an effort. Normally when you walk, you don't think, I have to walk, do you? Ishwara does the walking. Isn't that right? When you're walking, you can do other things because Ishwara walks for you, doesn't it? But then it was like Ishwara wasn't doing the walking. I had to help Ishwara move my feet. Every action was like conscious. Every action was like an effort. And I think, this is awful. What's wrong? I can't figure this out. This is weird. I'm off. And I told Sundari, and so she gets on the internet and starts doing some research about all these things that I'm taking, because she doesn't believe in taking anything. It turns out that what? It was the pills I was taking. But, it was all the medication that they give you to prevent the next heart attack. Now, what's the next heart attack about? I didn't have a heart attack. I just had plugged arteries. But what's the next?
Fear. Fear.
Fear. It's the fear thought. It's just the fear thought. I threw out, I got up, and she said, I got to tell you what to do, but this is the research. I just got up and I took all the medicines and I threw them in the trash. And man, my energy just went, why? Because every pill I was taking fear. Every pill was a fear thought. You thought you were protecting yourself, but what were you doing? You were hurting yourself. You were just a thought. Throw those pills away. You don't think the thoughts? Oh, I'm fine. Somebody said, you have heart disease. I don't have heart disease. I had plugged arteries. The arteries are gone. I don't have any disease. The blood's going nicely. Look at me. I'm almost 80 years old, and I'm going like a demon. Do I look like I have heart disease? And if I have heart disease, it's the heart that counts is fine. Okay? The self is fine. The self is your heart, your Atman. That's what Atma means, the heart, your essence. And there's no resistance there. So you don't have this. You don't want anything. In fact, you want to try to get rid of things. I'm always throwing stuff out. Sundari says to me, "Where's the whatchamacallit? Whatever it is." And I say, I don't know. I do know, but I say, I don't know. I must be around here somewhere. But I threw it out. And she says, you're lying. I know very well you threw that away. And I did. So I just got tired of seeing it laying around there. We weren't using it. You get something that you use once a year, and you got 50 things that you use once a year, and you got them in your house. That's 50 things cluttering your damn house up because you use them once a year. Well, I'll worry about it if I need it. So I just throw them out. So I don't want them. I have to clean them up. I have to put them away. I have to store them in a closet. I have to do all this stuff. Why should I? Throw it away. It's going to be fine. And if the bathroom floor is not as clean as it so you can eat off it, that's fine. Because I don't go to eat in the bathroom. Understand? These people think differently. Understand? And then what is that soul? It's and what do you consecrate? It's what do you turn over? Your spiritual duties too. I was just using worldly duties as an example. Well, what? No more need to chant Om 500 times. Okay? I am the Om. I'm a walking, talking Om. So I don't need to chant Om. Everything I say is Om. Understand? So it's like that. Yeah.
So when you keep doing spiritual duties, that could still be just for the joy of it, right? For the joy of it, you can.
Well, but if you're the joy, you can do it for the joy. You can do it for, you could. It's a tricky argument, It's a very tricky argument because can any joy that you produce by an action add anything to the joy of the bliss of awareness?
No, but you can still.
But since you're acting, why shouldn't you do actions that produce joy? And they're going to say that in here. It's going to say later on that duality doesn't stand in the way of non-duality. So somebody, I haven't replied yet, but I got an email. I may have told you this, but I got an email a couple days ago, and the guy was telling me that if you know who you are, why would you chant Sada Shiva Samaram Bam? Why would you do that if you know who you are? Huh? And I said, well, if you know who you are, why wouldn't you do it?
Exactly.
Huh? Huh? Since the doer's still there, why wouldn't the doer worship duality? I'm always talking to Krishna, but I don't think Krishna is somebody else. It's just an excuse to, talk to myself. That's all. Which you're doing all the time anyway, aren't you? You're just afraid to just say it with your mouth because people think you're goofy. But aren't you really just talking to yourself all the time in your mind? Making comments? Sure you are. Of course you are. And does that keep you from being whole and complete or make you screwed up and weird? No. That's really, my wife will say, what are you talking to? So to myself, well, you're not, that's not only yourself here, I'm here. Please shut up. Or I'll sing a song, just for fun. I don't like that tune, shut up. So, duality doesn't affect non-duality. This guy, he's real, you could tell, he was a real one of those spiritual prigs. But I don't get angry at him. I always schmooze them. I don't let them piss me off. Because they really want to irritate me. They really want to say, I know something and you don't. And of course, when somebody says that, then I get your back up. And you want to get in a fight with them, see? But I always say, oh yeah, you're right, actually right. And that's or I say, that's really a good question. Wow, that's a really cool question. Then they feel really good. And then I say, but what about this? As if they're my guru now. Huh? I'm trying to get a little information out, but actually I'm tweaking them and making them think. And often I catch them. And they'll get more serious about Vedanta. They'll quit criticizing it simply because of my attitude. I don't try to defend it. I accept their attitude, and then I ask them a little question, and in a nice, very nice way, very friendly, very nice way, make a little compliment. Krishna does this to Arjuna all the time. If you study the Bhagavad Gita, if you know the Sanskrit and you know the meaning of those words that he addresses to Arjuna, he's always buttering Arjuna up or in various ways. Keeps Arjuna close in his pocket. It keeps buttering him up. So, you don't have that resistance to things anymore. It's fine. The negatives to self, the positives to self, it's all the self. What? Oh, don't worry. So these people are, and then, the wonderful power of desire. What? Well, we discussed that wonderful power earlier, huh? I mean, just think of it. Can you like that open heart surgery I had? That's pretty wonderful, isn't it? You guys are getting the benefit because I wouldn't be able to keep doing this. Now, who developed that technology and those procedures? My wife's mother, she was operated on by Christian Barnard. Christian Barnard was the guy who invented open heart surgery. And he put in her heart, or somewhere in there, some kind of valve. And it was a clunky piece of plastic. And she said you could hear that thing clunking around in her mother's chest all her life from across the room. Huh? It was so loud you couldn't sleep in the same room because it was bonk, 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 And I'm in there 4 days, only 4 days. They cut you wide open. They cut the bones, they pull them apart, they cut all this stuff out, they dig this stuff up, they glue it. I don't know how they even make those things sit. They glue it all together, sew it up, sew you back up, stand you up the next day, make you walk around the hospital a few times and send you out. Yeah, you feel a little shaky for a week or so. But you're back on your feet. My God, look at I've already got almost 6 years now out of the new tubes, and the way it's going, it looks like I'm going to get another 5 or 6, maybe even more. Who knows? Plus, they can do it again. What's that desire, isn't it? People had desire. That's a beautiful desire, to serve people, to help people. To give them new life and make their lives better. Huh? We live better than the kings. But look at the heater in the room here, man. Look at the carpet. Do you think King Henry had a heater in his room like that? Huh? Those big powerful people? No, my God, they died young. And they were always cold, particularly the northern guys, the guys in the Celts and those people up there. Huh? We got it so good. Like, a guy wanted to go to London from Birmingham, and it took him 2 weeks in a horse and buggy, and they had to have soldiers because there were guys that would kill him and all that. Now you just walk out of your house, you get on the train, you pay $50, and you're in London in an hour and a half. Wonderful power of desire. Huh? They used to have to, to get to India, they used to have to go all the way around Africa and over to India, Cape of Good Hope. So the Brits cut a channel through Arabia between Egypt and now you just zip through there and off you go over to India. Cuts like 2 weeks out of the 3 weeks out of the journey. So desire's fine. As long as what? It doesn't injure anybody. It's beautiful. It's a creative power. And the day your desires stop is the day they put you in the warm earth and feed you to the worms. Desire is your life force. It's your prana. It's your shakti. That's your desire. And it takes you to wonderful places. Just make sure, it's in harmony with Ishwara's will. And then you got Ishwara on board, and off you go. Power of desire. And what is this? Verse 9. Renunciation is one-pointed devotion to Ishwara, and it's the same idea, and complete indifference to objects. That doesn't mean objects are negative. It doesn't mean objects are positive. It means objects are value neutral. Indifference means value neutral. You're not for objects and you're not against objects. You're just an object's an object. And why are objects value neutral? We need to know that. What? Huh?
They are inert.
Yeah, they're inert. It's just matter. This is wood. This is matter. Does it have any intrinsic value apart from the value I give it? It only becomes valuable if I make it into a chair, doesn't it?
As a tree also has a value.
Huh?
As a tree also has a value.
Yeah, but that's value new. Yeah, it does or it doesn't. I mean, yeah. But who? The value for whom? A value for the people who get the oxygen. But what about animals, or what about other inanimate objects that don't need oxygen? It's no value for them. So, and what if you don't care about it? For the dead, it's not useful because they don't need oxygen. For the celestials, they don't breathe oxygen. They live off luminous moonbeams or something, I guess. I don't know what they do all of them. So, all objects are value neutral. In fact, a tree can be a huge problem for a person. Get it? Yeah, I mean, in the cities, you got a whole class of lawyers. They're tree lawyers. Huh? You know that? Oh yeah, in America, you got tree lawyers. Now, the tree lawyers are those, because say I have a beautiful tree on my property, but it was just a small tree when I bought the property, and it was right on the property line. It was like 6 inches from the property line. I owned it here, and then I planted my tree there. But then I lived there for 50 years, and now I got a big tree. Now, my tree doesn't know that the property line is here. So the branches grow into my thing, and the branches grow into my neighbor's thing. And one day, a big branch fell off my tree and bounced on my neighbor's kid and put him in the hospital. Now, is that a good tree, or is that a valuable tree? It's valuable for the lawyers. It's not valuable for the man or the kid or for me, is it? It's a pain producing tree. The lawyers did all right, and the guys that took it away, they cut it up and sold it as firewood, so it's useful for them. Well, what? So the same object, what? The value is only projected by conscious beings on inert objects. Even human beings are value neutral. Because what? Because a human being is just a concept, isn't it? There's good human beings and bad human beings. Because I'm a human being makes me a good person? Or a bad person? No, because a human being can be anything. Where does the value come? It comes as a projection. So everything here is just conceptual. You're never actually experiencing. Understand, this is a very subtle point. It's a very important point, and it's a very true point. You're never actually experiencing objects outside yourself, away from you. You ever only experience the thought of an object. Do you know the famous glasses teaching? Does anybody not know the famous glasses teaching? The location of objects. Do you know that? Okay, you don't. No, you don't. You heard it before, but you're slowly assimilating those, so you're doing good, man. You've heard it, but you didn't hear it. Okay, no, you can. You can hear it teaching and you not know what it means. And where do you experience the glasses? In my hand? Now you're already having a question. You see, you know it's a trick question, so you won't answer. I got to get better at this. Right? You know it's a trick question. Well, it isn't a trick question. Because if you say, the glasses are in my hand, that's true. Assuming what? What is the assumption you're making that puts the glasses in my hand? About you. The assumption you're making about you. In other words, who are you when you say the glasses are in James's hand? Who are you?
Body.
Body. Correct. If you're the body, then the glasses are over here in my hand. Is that correct? If you're the self, where are the glasses? Where's the location of the self if you're the glasses? I mean, where are the glasses if you're the self?
In your mind.
In me, in you.
Yeah.
There's no other option, is there? Because there's only me. So the glasses are in me and the glasses are me. Isn't that right? from the self's point of view. So how does that work? There's another logical progression now of ideas that will show you that glasses are not in my hand. I used a very difficult logic. If everything's the self and there are glasses, then the glasses have to be the self, right? That's logical, but we want a more practical demonstration. We want to appreciate that fact on the basis of an analysis of our experience. So let's walk through this experientially and see if the glasses are actually in my hand or if they're somewhere else. And what are they? Because the question is, what are they? Not where they are, but what are they? And where they are was going to, if we can determine where they are, we can determine what they are. So, when you see an object, a tree or glasses or anything like that, do you actually journey out, do your eyes journey out through does your mind journey out through your eyes and go over and envelop the whole object, and collect information, and then come back in, and give you the experience of a glasses or a tree? Is that how it happens? No. That's right. No. The answer is no. That's not. If you're experiencing, if you have eyes, and if you're experiencing the glasses with your body, then you'd have to get your body over there to the tree. Let's say to a tree. Okay, now my body's here, right close to the tree. How much of the tree am I going to experience with my eyes? Well, I could hug the tree, so I'll get some sort of experience through my skin. Also, I get some information through my skin. I guess I can smell the tree, so I get an idea of what the tree smelled like. Isn't it? So all my senses, I can gain some information. Now, each one of my sense organs is doing what? Is gathering information about the tree. Now, do all those little bits of those 5 bits of information from my 5 perceptive organs, give me the experience of the tree?
Looks like it.
Seems like it. But it does, but what happens? It does, but it doesn't. But who's putting those 5 little bits of information to give me the total experience of a tree? Because each organ just gives me an experience of part of the tree, doesn't it? That's why I have,
Mind.
It's
your mind.
Yeah, your mind.
Indifference.
Your mind. Your mind integrates those 5 streams of information that come in from your 5 knowledge-gathering instruments into one cogent experience, one simple cogent experience, and so you get the tree experience. And what is that tree experience? Is that the experience of a tree or the thought of a tree?
An idea.
The thought of a tree, isn't it? Because the tree's not coming into your mind, is it? The tree itself. Does the tree jump up and pass into your mind so you can experience it and then you get a thought in your mind? No. What? No, it doesn't, does it? So what when you experience a tree, what are you experiencing? The thought of a tree. When you're experiencing your wife or your husband, okay? Are you Tell about your relationship. Are you actually experiencing your wife or your husband? No. You're experiencing the thought of your wife or your husband. Why? Because when you're thinking of a dog, your dog, Maybe it's more happy to think of your dog than it is of your wife or your husband. When you're thinking of your dog, do you have a wife and a husband? Or a husband? Huh? No, at the time when you're experiencing this thought, are you experiencing any other thought?
Me, only your dog.
Huh? Only you're having only the dog thought. Isn't it? So that means what? Your wife is only your wife, or your husband is only your husband when you're thinking about them. When you're thinking about your kid, you're a mother, and you're not thinking about your husband. Huh? Isn't it? So that what you can do this with any object. The object, every object is only a thought object. It's not a physical object out there. Quantum physics can help you with this if you studied the quantum physics research, because they analyze the senses, because their whole epistemology, their whole means of knowledge, their epistemology is based on the sense organs, and they've become extremely sophisticated in understanding the senses because they're trying to observe elementary particles. Now, elementary particles you can't see with your eyes. Our knowledge of elementary particles is good knowledge. It's solid knowledge, but you can't see them with your eyes. You can only gain, but you need visual knowledge to reason from. So once they've got a base of perceptual knowledge, then they can extrapolate. That is, they can infer other facts, and those facts can lead to the knowledge of other things, like elementary particles. So from perception, we can infer things, and we can gain knowledge. So I explained to you about looking in the rearview mirror. Remember, you don't see the car behind you, but you know there's a car behind you when you look at what? The reflection of the car in the mirror. So you're not directly perceiving the cars in the traffic behind you, are you? You're indirectly perceiving the traffic, but you're not seeing them physically. You're seeing the reflection, and you're inferring the existence of a physical object. And that's as good, inference is as good for knowledge of a car behind you as direct perception and turning around and looking at it. So I haven't forgot where we're going with this, by the way.
So everything you experience are your thoughts in your mind.
That's correct.
So the whole world and the husband and the
Now,
dog.
does a thought now? If I think the Donald Trump thought, and you think the Donald Trump thought, do those two thoughts have the same value?
Depends on your
Well,
likes
they
and
do.
dislikes.
They are just thoughts, right?
No, they don't. No, they don't. Because you like Donald Trump and I don't.
Okay, well, just because.
You like the Donald Trump thought. I didn't see Donald Trump. You didn't see Donald Trump. When you think the Donald Trump thought, you think he's a jerk. And when I think the Donald Trump thought, I think he's my hero. Now, if Donald Trump was a jerk, then when I thought the Donald Trump thought, I'd think he was a jerk. Huh? If Donald Trump was a hero, or the vice versa. Huh? In other words, the value of the thought is projected by your karma, by your conditioning. Vegans can't eat meat. Carnivores love meat. Does that mean there's anything good about meat or bad about meat? The meat thought, you're not eating meat, you're eating the thought of meat, and the thought of meat depends upon your values. So if you think meat's bad, then meat's bad. If you think meat's good, meat's good. But meat is value neutral. What is it? It's inert. The thoughts are inert. So an inert object can't have a value. Values are subjective. This is good or this bad, what? Based upon what? My beliefs, my value system, my opinions, my conditioning, so forth and so on, isn't it?
Those are also thoughts in my mind. And
Yeah,
the mind
those are
is also
thoughts.
inert.
Yeah, those are thoughts
So the whole
too.
thing is,
The whole thing. The whole of Maya is what?
that's it. Let's quit.
Huh? The whole of Maya is value neutral. Every object, the whole thing is value neutral. Why? Why? And what does the Gita say? What does the scripture say? Huh? Because Maya is the material. I will put the other chart on afterwards. We'll get this chart off here. Because Maya is the material principle. Every created object, every object is created. And we'll just take the world, because Maya creates the world. Is what? Every object created. And all objects are in the world, so we'll just consider the world. The world is made of two things. Spirit, or consciousness, existence consciousness, we call it chaitanyam, it means consciousness. And what? And matter. Okay? There is no created object that is independent of those two principles. Matter can't create, and the self, or consciousness, can't create. That's not possible. But when they seemingly come together, we get a creation. And so the cause of the creation is what? The wedding of spirit and matter. That's why in the Hindu system, you always see a god, a male god, and a female god. The female represents Maya, and the male represents consciousness. Neither one of those is creative. When they're joined together, when they have spiritual sex, okay, you see, they don't have sex. It's a symbol. People think, oh, you see, enlightenment is spiritual sex, and so they try to get together and create, fuck their way to God, I guess. I don't know. But when they come together, then these two principles create the world, life. Neither one of them is got any value. When you put them together, then you get, and then life becomes valuable. What? Only to created beings, only to sentient beings. Life isn't valuable to chairs, is it? Even though this in that object is what? Is inert. So there's no value in any object apart from the value put in it.
It's in itself already a big relief.
Huge relief, huh?
Yeah.
Because what am I doing every day? I'm valuing some thoughts. In one way, I'm valuing some thoughts. I'm saying, I shouldn't think this, because this is a bad thought, and I should think this is a good thought. But that value doesn't belong to the thought. You think that the thought is creating the value, but no, I'm adding the value to the thought. Well, what if I'm the value? Huh? What if the value for everything is me? Then will I need to add any value to any object? Any not me? I won't, will I? See what he's saying here? This is why people are not interested in, that know who they are not interested in stuff. Are you in a relationship when you're not thinking you're in a relationship? You say you're in a relationship with something, with somebody. You're in love. Are you in love with your husband when you're sleeping? Are you in love with your husband when you're angry at your husband? Or your wife or whatever? No. You just add value to the thought according to your conditioning. And when your wife or your husband is no longer has any value, then you get rid of the wife and the husband. You don't want to think that thought anymore. You divorce them and you go away. Or they linger in your mind as a bad thought. But they don't need to linger in your mind as a good or a bad thought. You can just withdraw the meaning from them and see the value of yourself. Because they only mean something because I'm aware. Without me, they don't even exist. So I'm the boss here. The objects aren't the boss. Life doesn't validate me. I'm sitting around on my cell phone trying to figure out if good things are happening, and if good things are happening, I'm good, and if bad things are happening, I'm bad. I'm not allowing what? I'm not allowing reality to tell me whether I'm good or bad, and okay, I'm telling them, I'm the boss here. I'll decide whether this is what this is. Because without me, it doesn't mean a thing. Yeah. There's no meaning. I'm the meaning. That's how these people are. That's what they know. That's why what? They're indifferent. He said they're indifferent to objects. And what? And the desire for objects disappears. Why? Because they know that any object can't add any value to them. Om Purnamida, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachate, Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. It says, if you add an object to the self doesn't change. If you take an object away from the self doesn't change. Nothing happens, in other words. Huh? The self is, the objects are full, they're complete. The self is full and complete. If you take the objects away, the self still stays complete. If you add what? An object to the self, self remains the same. So there's no gain or loss here. What are you saying? He's telling you what enlightenment's like. It's a beautiful, fabulous text. So lovely.